What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle presented by Danklyfe Brand and yours truly, Dallas Clark. Today, we're discussing the startums and situms for Week 11, and I'm going to do what apparently seems to be the impossible. I see no other YouTube channel out there able to go through every single matchup on the NFL slate and not have their video be an hour or more long, which is absolutely asinine. I'm going to get you guys all the information that you need quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hopefully less than 20 minutes here on this video going through each and every matchup. So you know what that means. We're not wasting time. So if you like the content, smash that like button and hit that subscriptions bar if you have not yet. I got more than 50% of y'all that are watching this video right now that have not subscribed to the channel yet. So make sure you hit that subscriptions bar and that notifications bell so you always know when new content is coming your way. So without further ado, let's fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into the Week 11 startums and situms list. The first point of news we need to go over is going to be the four teams that are on a bye in Week 11. You're looking at the Arizona Cardinals, the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all on bye. Not as crazy as it was last week. We are having a ton of fantasy relevant players being on bye week. This is definitely going to be a workable bye week for us this week. We're going to start off first and foremost with the Thursday night football game. The Washington Commanders traveling to Philly to take on the Eagles. First and foremost, I'm tempering expectations for Jaden Daniels this week. He's coming off of his worst fantasy performance thus far, and he's playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who have allowed the fourth fewest points per game to the quarterback position thus far this season. However, on that same team, I think Noah Brown, who is the clear number one wide receiver two in this offense, who's received more than six targets in 5 of his last 6 games, is definitely worth sleeper flex appeal for you. And then on the other side of the ball, of course, we're starting Saquon, AJ Brown. We're not going to waste our time with the obvious starts that we're going through here. Like I said, we're tempering expectations on Jaden Daniels. We're still starting Terry McLaurin, and I got Noah Brown as a sleeper with flex appeal for you guys. Next matchup, the first matchup we're going to be discussing in the 11 o'clock a.m. slate on Monday in the Mountain Standard Time, or the 1 p.m. slate on Eastern Time. Either way it is, it's the early morning slate. That's what we like to call it here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network. You're looking at this Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. This Miami offense, I'm pretty much all in on the Miami offense outside of Jalen Waddle. You're looking at the Las Vegas Raiders allowing the 8th most points per game to quarterback. They're allowing the 4th most points per game to tight end. They've been extremely generous to wide receivers. Everybody not named Jalen Waddle that's a starter in the Miami Dolphins offense, I think is good to go in your starting lineup. On the other side of the ball, not many Raiders that we trust right now, and one of the few that we do trust, Alexander Mattison, I'm sitting him this week as well. He's very reliant on volume, and Miami has been extremely good against the run. I don't know if game script is going to be in Alexander Madison's favor this week, so I'm definitely going to be at least tempering expectations, but if you can get away from him, then you should get away from him. The next matchup we're going to be talking about is going to be the Cleveland Browns versus the New Orleans Saints. We're talking Nick Chubb at the running back for Cleveland Browns. It's been a great story, but the fantasy numbers just have not been there as of yet, and I think this week is the week that all changes. You're looking at New Orleans being 28th ranked against the run right now. They've allowed 7 top running backs in the last 6 weeks. Count it, 7 running backs have hit the top 10 against this defense in the past 6 weeks. They've allowed more top 10 running backs than they've allowed more top 10 running backs than they have games played in the last 6 weeks. You're looking at Nick Chubb definitely going to be able to turn it around this week. I'm sitting Jerry Jeudy if I can on this offense. This offense just has not gotten moving and shaking as you really thought it wouldn't. Outside of Deshaun Watson getting hurt, they really have not had many bright spots on this Cleveland Browns offense so far this season. You are looking at, like I said, Nick Chubb being very valuable this week. Cedric Tillman potentially worth sleeper appeal, but we know who Jerry Jeudy is. However, we do also know who Marquez Valdez-Scantling is. He's an essential boom or bust player when it comes to fantasy football, but when you look at the New Orleans Saints and you look at the fact that they have hardly any active wide receivers at the current moment, you also look at the fact that Cleveland is allowing the 6th most touchdowns and the 5th most points per game game to the wide receiver position this week, or this season, I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling is in for another big week this week. We're not just chasing points. The numbers do not lie to us, guys. Everything is on paper saying that Marquez Valdes-Scantling is in for another big one. He's got no competition for targets right now. Moving on into one of the biggest games in my personal opinion, just because, as you guys see here, it's very important to me. The Indianapolis Colts have gone now and named Anthony Richardson the starter over Joe Flacco after originally at the beginning of the week saying Joe Flacco was going to be the starter. And boy, does that make Colts fans happy. This is what America wanted. First off, before you start getting disrespectful about Anthony Richardson and why he should have got benched, I've been telling you guys this for weeks. In Anthony Richardson's last start, there were 3 dropped touchdown passes. I don't think he gets benched if they catch the ball. Last time Anthony Richardson, see, I got a little emotional there. Got to bring it back down. I will be taking Anthony Richardson as a sleeper, especially in deep leagues. But if you're in a 10-man league, even a 12-man league, you have a lot of other fringe quarterbacks that you can go with. You don't need Anthony Richardson this week. I do think Josh Downs is worth flex appeal, but he's really the only Colts wide receiver that I truly trust right now. I would love to put Alec Pierce into this position as well. However, the floor is just so different with Anthony Richardson. You're looking at Alec Pierce being also a very big boomer bust player. I think Alec Pierce is definitely good for that one long touchdown that we all know is coming from Anthony Richardson. But Josh Downs is really the only one that I can confidently say I would have flex appeal and put him in my lineup this week. On the other side of the ball, we're starting Tyler Conklin. The Colts have been very generous to the tight end position, and we're also going to be obviously starting Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson against this putrid Colts pass defense. Now, moving on to the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Tennessee to taking on the Titans. And before we do that, if you haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscriptions bar. Also, make sure you tune in to Sunday morning's live pregame NFL kickoff show, 9:30 Mountain Standard Time on the Mountain Standard Time and 11:30 Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast. Make sure you check it out. It'll be live on YouTube again this week. We will be going back to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, I believe, in week 12. But make sure you tune in on Sunday, like I'll be tuning into this Minnesota Vikings at Tennessee Titans matchup, because I am putting TJ Hawkinson in my lineup this week. You have to start him. You're looking at him leading the team in targets, being a top 5 tight end last week and not even playing half of the snaps. TJ Hawkinson is back up into must-start territory. However, his counterpart, Jordan Addison, on the same offense will remain invisible this week against the league's #1 passing defense, surprisingly or not, in the Tennessee Titans. You're looking at Sam Darnold. Also, I'm tempering expectations on Sam Darnold. Over the past 3 weeks, he's looked a lot more like, well, Sam Darnold, I guess you can say. He's looked like exactly who we thought. He is who we thought he was, ladies and gentlemen. It was a great start to the season, but you're looking at Sam Darnold being exactly who we thought he was. I'm sitting him if I can this week, and honestly, you might even be good to drop him to pick up another fringe quarterback. I will be moving on to the next game, which would be Green Bay at Chicago. We're going to be sitting DJ Moore this week. Green Bay has the fewest yards per game to the wide receiver position this year, and DJ Moore has only had one top 20 finish thus far this year. He's only top 40 yards one time. He's had fewer than 10 fantasy football points in 6 straight games. This Chicago Bears offense is broken. DeAndre Swift is the only Chicago Bear I feel comfortable putting in my fantasy football lineup this week. And on the other side of the ball, one of the most reliable Green Bay Packers that we've had this year, Jaden Reed, I will not be starting him this week. No team in the NFC surrenders less points per game to wide receiver than the Chicago Bears. So I will be staying away from Jaden Reed if I can afford it. Moving on to the next game, we're going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Detroit Lions. You're starting Jared Goff. He's at home, and he's playing that Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Do I need to say more? We're going to be also starting the Detroit defense and special teams. I'm staying away from Evan Ingram if I can in this matchup. You're looking at Mac Jones lowering his ceiling. He's had less than 50 yards in 5 of 6 games. Why are you even considering starting Evan Ingram at this point? I'm also staying away from Brian Thomas Jr. Between the tough matchup and Mac Jones, I don't like it really at all. I don't really like any Jacksonville Jaguars pass catcher. You're really only looking at being able to trust the running backs in this game. When it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Detroit Lions, we already know we're going in on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I said, we're not wasting time on the people we know who are obvious starts. Next game we're talking about, we're going to be breezing through quickly. It's going to be the Los Angeles Rams at the New England Patriots. We're sitting Matt Stafford. You're looking at him being playing a top 10 New England pass defense, and I think he's very matchup dependent on whether you're going to be starting him or not this season. I do think that Hunter Henry on that New England Patriots offense is worth a sleeper if you need some help at tight end. Hunter Henry is the only New England Patriot on offense besides Ramondre Stevenson that I really feel comfortable in starting this week. The last morning game on the slate is going to be the Baltimore Ravens at Pittsburgh Steelers. I think what should be the game of the week. We're starting Russell Wilson. You're looking at him averaging just under 19 points per game in the last 3 games. You're looking at the Baltimore Ravens allowing the second most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, as well as the most yards and touchdowns as well. In that same offense, I'm staying away from Najee Harris if I can afford it. Baltimore is extremely elite against the run defense, and you're looking at Najee Harris tweaking his ankle at the end of Week 10's matchup. I was surprised he even came back at the end of that game. A person with flex appeal in this matchup is going to be Mike Williams. You're looking at Baltimore allowing the most points per game to wide receivers. Mike Williams coming off of 1 reception, 1 target, 1 touchdown. He's a definition of a boom or bust player, but I do think things trend correctly for him to get into the boom column this week. Moving on to the afternoon games, we only got a few more games to discuss about with the bye weeks going on. We're looking at Seattle at San Francisco. I think Brock Purdy goes absolutely Becky Buck wild this week. Definitely start Brock Purdy. I do think I'll be sitting Geno Smith on the other side of the ball. You're looking at him only averaging 230 yards per game every time he's played San Francisco since joining the Seattle Seahawks. He's had 1 top 15 game in the last 7 games, and he's only scored an average of less than 15 points per game every time he's played the San Francisco 49ers in the last few years. So I'm staying away from Geno Smith. Juwan Jennings is the definition of just give me an opportunity and see what I can do with it. I'm starting Juwan Jennings. I'm giving him the opportunity. You're looking at Seattle allowing 7 wide receivers to hit top 12 marks in the last 6 weeks. Juwan Jennings leads the team in targets per game, receptions, and yards per game. And I think Juwan Jennings is just going to have an absolutely phenomenal game, as will most of the San Francisco 49ers. Moving on into the Atlanta Falcons, traveling to Denver to take on Bo Nix and the Broncos. I'm starting Bo Nix. He's averaging 20 points per game in the last 6 games, and he's only had fewer than 15 points 1 time this season. On top of that, you're looking at Atlanta allowing the 3rd most yards and touchdowns to quarterbacks this season. So Bo Nix, I'm staying a Bo lever this week, and because of that, we're starting Courtland Sutton as well. He's got 3 straight games with 17-plus points. We're sitting Drake London against Patrick Surtain on the other side of the ball, but Courtland Sutton has definitely revitalized himself as a top 24 option in the wide receiver position. I think another sleeper in this matchup is going to be Audric Estime from the Denver Broncos, the running back who usurped the number 1 running back role in this Denver backfield. Moving on to the next game, we're going to be talking about Kansas City at Buffalo, and this will be the last game in the afternoon there. We're starting James Cook. His production has been dropping over these last few weeks. He does have a tough matchup this week, but you're looking at him averaging 17 touches and 85 yards versus the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as 5 receptions per game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think James Cook gets heavily involved. I'm not loving really any of the Buffalo Bills wide receivers, but of course, if Dalton Kincaid is healthy, we might slide him into our lineup, but I think Dalton Kincaid might be out. We'll make sure we get the information on that, but I don't really trust many of the Buffalo Bills pass catchers at this current moment. James Cook and Josh Allen are really the only 2 I feel 100% confident in starting in my lineup this week. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Los Angeles Chargers. Not the best game, but I mean, I guess it's better than the Indianapolis Colts Jets game, but who am I to complain? I guess I honestly heard that it was the Jets that have had so many primetime games at the beginning of the season is why this game got removed, but who really knows? However, we're looking at Cincinnati playing the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. We're starting Chase Brown. He's played over 80% of snaps. He's got 25 attempts per game in the last 3 games, and you're looking at him averaging 17 fantasy points per game since week 5. Los Angeles Chargers have been allowing the most explosive runs in the NFL, and Chase Brown gets a majority of his points off of those explosive runs. I do think Gus Edwards, the Gus Bus, will be worth sleep appeal, flex appeal this evening, or this week. You're looking at Cincinnati allowing the 5th most rushing yards per game and the 5th most rushing touchdowns to the running back position as well. I think his snap share is going to go off. He played great last week off of just 10 carries. So I do think Gus Edwards is going to be in line for more attention this week, and game script might work out well for him to get involved in this game. I do think that Will Dissly on the Los Angeles Chargers is going to be a great sleeper tight end for you this week. He's 2nd on the team in targets. He's got 5 or more targets in 4 of the last 5 games. I think Will Dissly, they're going to need to go somewhere. None of the pass catchers besides Quentin Johnson have really been helping helping out a lot. I do think Will Dissly is going to have a big game this week. And then Monday Night Football, wrapping things up, the Dallas Cowboys are going to struggle. I'm even tempering expectations for CeeDee Lamb. I'll sit CeeDee Lamb if I can. You're looking at CeeDee Lamb essentially being what Tyreek Hill was without Tua Tagovailoa. Trash. The Dallas Cowboys with Cooper Rush have been terrible. You're looking at CeeDee Lamb getting fewer than 50 yards in back-to-back games. Yes, it's a night game, but it's the battle of Texas against an absolutely trash-ass offense for the Dallas Cowboys. Their defense is going to let up a lot of points. The Houston Texans should really run away with this, as much as I hate to say that as an Indianapolis Colts fan. But like I said, I'm not confident in starting one single Dallas Cowboy this week. And of course, on the Houston Texans side, we're starting everybody that we can. Nico Collins should be healthy and back in this game, which would be big for a lot of fantasy football managers out there. And that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. Look at that. In less than 16 minutes, I gave you every matchup in the NFL and the big important startums and situms questions that we had this week. I don't know why it's so impossible, but we made it possible here for you. Get you all your information and get it very efficiently. And if I got you all the information that you needed, make sure you hit that damn subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell so you know when these videos are coming out. Why waste an hour and a half watching some analysts jack each other off for 3 hours talking about the startums and situms and you still don't get the information that you want? Hit up the like button, hit up the subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell, and you won't be disappointed. That's going to do it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you always keep your chin pointed high to the sky and you always keep your attitude down. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Bye.